Spangler,
Here.
Mr. Viera,
Here.
Dr. Vogt,
Here.
Dr. Selly,
Here.
Mrs. Wittes.
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and posted as required by law.
Thank you. Okay, first item on our agenda is the health department update. Health Officer Powell, please.
Good evening. So, in October, we did 25 dog licenses, which is pretty good considering it's the end of the year. Birth certificates, that's always busy, 1,004. And with Monmouth Medical Center being one of the top 3 hospitals for childbirths, we're very busy with that. Marriage licenses, 27, and marriage certificates, 94, so a lot of weddings going on as well. Our free rabies clinic that we had on October 15th, we did 116 dogs, 42 cats, for a total of 158 animals that are now vaccinated. Our animal control officer Debbie and our canine Tucker were at the Pooch Parade, so they were able to interact with the public and get some pictures taken. I'm currently working with Monmouth Medical Center to develop a community health needs assessment for Monmouth and Ocean counties. It's a big group of health professionals. We're utilizing statistical data from Monmouth Medical Center, Monmouth Medical Southern Campus, and Community Medical Center. It's state, county, and municipal data that we're looking at. So there are some specific things just the Long Branch. One being a positive, the highest rate of foreign-born residents, and that's considered to be associated with a strong sense of community and mutual support among the residents of the community. So that's a really nice thing. And over the summer and into the early fall, we had an intern that's a health inspector intern from the state course in Rutgers. So we were able to have her come in. We got her all the experience she needed, the amount of hours she needed, and now she can sit and take her certification test for the state in November.
Oh, nice.
And we pretty much do that every year.
Oh, you do, and you'll continue that each
Yeah.
year.
Do you always get it from Rutgers or from different universities?
It's just from Rutgers because it's a state certification, so.
Okay.
And it's a certification in what, and the internship is like public health?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's environmental and public health, and then
Okay.
the license that she's gonna be getting is called a registered environmental health specialist.
Okay.
Is it a paid intern or is it volunteer?
No, volunteer.
Volunteer.
It's part of her curriculum
Okay.
for that course.
Mike, so how long is the, like this collection of data, like how long does that last, and what's the goals, like when they collect the data, what kind of things are they planning on or looking at?
It's all over the place. It's social determinants of health. It's obviously chronic diseases, acute diseases, things like access to care. We're looking at health equity. How long the data, it's been going on for a couple of years now. And then they're gonna actually just put it all together. But they want people from all areas, doctors, health departments, because we wanna see our own data and know what to do with it. And that's the goal there. And then we can develop, I guess there's gonna be grants available for specific communities and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that.
It's once every 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm on there with you too.
Yeah.
Once every 3 years that they do it.
But it just seems now that the data is more and more broad.
Exactly.
So there's a lot more data to deal with, which is nice,
Right,
because they're all factors involved with the healthcare.
yeah. The social determinants of health grant, but separate from the Monmouth Medical one, the needs assessment that they did is just Long Branch. So it might actually be interesting sometime if we wanted to do a short presentation on, what, it's all social service, kind of information on, homelessness, on addiction, on, access to care, and with a focus on, on equity and reaching
Right.
hard to reach, populations. So it might, if folks are interested, you have it, I have it, we can, it might be an interesting short presentation.
Mike, are you getting, we had the vaccination clinics last year that were, very, I I don't know if popular is the word, but are you getting calls,
No, that's what I was monitoring for, to see if they wanted, you know, what the outreach would be like. It'd be worth our while to do a clinic. And I'm not opposed to doing one, obviously, but I'd like it to be productive. So I'm looking at other clinics in the county too, at their data, and the numbers aren't extremely high. And really, we're not getting any inquiries.
so what are you finding then? In other words, it's accessible and people are
Yeah.
just going wherever?
Correct. And then for our homebound population, I have the VNA going out to their homes if they request a vaccination.
And what about testing, COVID testing and all that? Are we gonna, you know, it's still, you know, prevalent here.
Right, it is.
Are there plans to do anything with that once the weather gets even colder and the numbers start to rise?
If I see that going way up,
Mm-hmm.
I get, like, they have municipal data,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like a 10% positivity rate, which is pretty good considering. Most of them are like 14-15%, other municipalities. So I look at that,
Mm-hmm.
and then if they start to go up, and then we'll try to do one of those testing clinics.
Do you get a lot of calls of people that would need to be tested or no?
No, not like it was.
Everybody's getting down, they have their home test these days.
Yeah.
They go off of that, yeah, they
Yeah,
can always
that's-
follow up with a
Everybody,
PCR.
yeah, that's what
Mhm.
everybody does these days, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it still anticipated that COVID will spike again in the winter, or has that been revised also?
Usually, yeah, with the holidays, that's usually when we see it, because everybody gets together now for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and right after that, plus being indoors with the cold weather, then you see it spike.
So Mike, if you needed to make one, improvement or new initiative in the department, any thoughts on what that would be? Just to put you on the spot?
Sure. Working with, the animal control department, that needs
Oh,
some
okay.
tweaking.
In what way?
Well, the contract we have with the SPCA, they're not the greatest service. And I think, you know, we talked about it, that it would be best to have it in-house
Okay.
with the amount of problems we have up at the beachfront. And then now we're getting more problems with dogs loose, aggressive dogs being loose, other dogs being viciously attacked. So that's a public safety threat as well,
Yeah,
not just public health, so we wanna make sure that's under control.
okay.
Now, do you hear these complaints from the outside or is it just
Mhm.
inside?
Outside.
I mean, I'm sorry.
And how long is our contract with the SPCA?
It's renewed once a year. So
How
it's,
much more time do we have?
I think that's an
We're
example.
gonna be talking
We're
about
talking about
something.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to thank you, you know, I mean, we're very lucky because, well, we're one of two municipalities in the county that have their own individual health department.
Right.
You know, a lot of them are regional, so I mean, it's really, if you think about it, an advantage that people can come here for, or call or whatever, we can follow up on a lot of things.
Yeah, good.
And we hear many good things about your department, so I'd like
Good.
to-
Yes, sir.
we should
Thank you.
thank
I'm
you
glad to
for
hear
that. Thank you.
You're doing a great job down there.
Yeah.
You and your staff.
yeah,
Well,
that's for sure. I
How
do.
many, staff members?
So we have the 4 in vital statistics, and then we have a secretary, we have animal control officer, and then we have Teresa, who's our full-time inspector, but then there's 2 part-timers that assist
Oh.
with lead inspections and also the retail foods.
I mean, Mike, if you don't mind, you were at a regional, where were you?
The Monmouth Regional Health Commission?
So what is the advantage of having a municipality having its own health department?
All the resources are right there, and they're only for that municipality, whereas the regional, you're scattered, like during COVID, I had 4, sometimes 5 towns. So when they needed things, it wasn't like we could jump on it if we were involved in something else, it would have to be prioritized based on what the need was. So here, you guys need something, we're there
Yeah.
instantly.
It's great to know.
Anyone else?
We're good.
Thank you so much
Yeah, no
for
problem.
taking the time to meet with us.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you. Okay, so now the next item is noise ordinance. Attorney Reno?
The mayor asked me to take a look at your current noise ordinance. So there's two kind of different ways to regulate noise through ordinances. The first way is to adopt a noise ordinance, and the second way is to make it a nuisance under your nuisance ordinance, and you have kind of both here in Long Branch. The noise ordinance has a lot of provisions in it that I think probably apply to this circumstance, but what we're looking to do is we're looking to try to beef that up. I know that there was, and I just pulled it up because I remember when it was filed. There has been some legislation that has been introduced to create a concept of what they call nuisance motor vehicles, which is motor vehicles that operate amplified sound. I mean, it's a technical definition, but when I say that, you all immediately know what we're talking about, right? So, I'm gonna, I wanna just spend a few moments speaking with the public safety director, because I wanna make sure that whatever we do is something that's enforceable, because, like I said, we currently have a noise ordinance. I'd like to know why it is it's not being used, and, I think that the difficulty may be because it's tied to, decibel levels. So your noise ordinance is the one we always talk about. Well, it can't be more than 65 dB at the property line. Those, when you talk about decibel levels, you're talking about the noise ordinance. When you talk about nuisance, it's a much more subjective, so it'll be based upon complaints that were made. And so I think that that's probably where we're gonna end up, but I wanna make sure that I talk to Director Broughton, and so it's something, whatever it is that we put in place is something that patrol could actually enforce, because it doesn't do any good if we pass an ordinance and there's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, I know we get a lot of complaints, we just wanted to check with you,
Yeah.
something we should pursue,
Right.
correct?
It's every year, every summer, the whole summer.
Mhm. Now, do you get complaints more, we've been focusing on, because I've heard these complaints recently about motor vehicles going by with loud music. Is are the noise complaints during the summer more stationary? Like you have loud houses, you have
Yeah,
that kind of
basically
thing?
it's.
Because
after-
those
after
we
10.
can attack. And the thing about Long Branch is that you don't have a lot of houses in most of the city that are on big lots.
Yeah.
So if you play music loud on your deck, we're pretty sure that at the property line, which is probably 30 feet away, it's gonna be over whatever the
Yeah.
decibel level is.
Not 30 feet away is good, sometimes I get a block away.
But that's what I'm saying, but the measuring standard is at the next
Yeah,
property
I know,
line.
yeah.
So the fact that you could hear it a block away is one thing, but
Yeah.
it's gotta be at that decibel level there.
Mhm.
So, I'm not sure, and Mike may even have some idea as to whether or not, I don't know whether his office does it, whether or not we're equipped to measure the decibel levels, or whether or not his folks get involved in that or not. So I really have to get back to Director Broughton about it.
It got better this year, it's getting better a little, because we started to enforce a little better.
And that's what I'm
As soon
saying,
as
I
we
wanna
get the
know
enforcement a little.
what they're doing and what we can do to amend the
Yeah.
ordinance to make it easier for them to enforce.
There you go.
I mean, I think, like, for example, you're getting a lot of just people, I don't know how they sit in their car, let's
I
start
know.
with the cars, I don't know how they even listen to that. And then, of course, you get like racing noise and all that stuff.
Sure.
I hear
All
that
of which
the
I
time.
think is like year round.
Mhm.
In the summer though, I mean, it's more because if you think about it, windows are
Maybe
open in
open
cars,
windows,
and
sure,
the same
sure,
thing with
sure.
the music at your house, windows are open, where people are outside, and there's more celebrating,
Yeah.
you know.
Like I hear, sometimes I feel like I'm on a raceway, I hear it so
Yeah.
loud, and I'm on Patton, and I think it's either coming from July or Ocean Boulevard.
And you're here, and that's car noises or music?
Oh, no, it's the car noises.
It's car noises.
Yeah.
So the car noises are a little bit different, because that has something to do with regulating the equipment on cars, and the police have a whole different, that's an additional set of state statutes that they have that affect that also.
Mhm.
Because there are noise level requirements there too. So I'll talk to the director about that part, but I was kind of focused on the music, the amplified music, that kind of, let's call it man-made as
But
opposed to.
sometimes, Lou, like in my neighborhood, you'll have somebody who will sit outside like 3 doors down with a car, and they'll just blast it, and I don't know if they're waiting for somebody or talking to somebody in the car,
Yeah.
but it's like, what the heck's going
Sure.
on, you know?
Yeah, so that's, because it's in a car, that's what it is. I mean, and I was just, the state model noise ordinance, which is adopted by the legislature, deals with amplified music, for instance, any amplified sound. So that's one categories of things. It also deals with, you know, that's why the cars have mufflers on them, right? Because they're supposed to muffle the sound, but if they've been modified in some way, then it also violates motor vehicle.
Anything else? Any questions? Thank you. Okay, any old business?
I'm good.
No, but
Mary Jane, old business? New business? Anything new?
No.
no,
No? Okay. A review of the regular meeting agenda.
well, good.
Any questions? Can we just get a little summary on the replenishment, you know, what's going on and
So the resolutions that are on, one of them is so that we can ask the county to pay for part of this beach replenishment. All three resolutions have to do with previous beach replenishment that's already been done. This is not any new beach replenishment. One of the resolutions is the agreement with the DEP, and then the final resolution was something that the DEP requested so that they have the right-of-way access to our beaches. And it names a couple streets in there, and that's just so they could do the work.
And this is part of a program that the city has basically signed on to years back.
Right.
So, I don't think that the way it's been set up, that the city necessarily has the ability to, well, this year we're gonna do beach replenishment and next year we're not. I mean, we've signed up for the program, so we're in the program. In fact, Mike says that Mike already has money set aside here to pay for this round. But this is kind of a reoccurring, it's a reoccurring cost for the maintenance. Yeah, I mean, it's beach maintenance, that's all it is at this point in time. But, Lindsay described the three pieces of, you know, legislation essentially you have to pass tonight to achieve that.
thank you. Anyone else? No?
No,
Questions?
no question.
Okay. I need a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to adopt a resolution 260-22 to go into executive session for the following items. Resolution number R 260-22, be resolved that the city will go into executive session to discuss the following: attorney-client privilege, Broadway, planning and zoning director Raviano, board vacancies, planning and zoning assistant business administrator DeAngelis, and contracts attorney Renee. May I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.